try to extend their on-campus winning streak to 15. They will host the Pittsburgh Panthers. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Picozzi, along with a frostbitten Megan Pattison. By the way, if you'd like to go back outside and do the entire game from there, I could arrange that.
Yeah, I bet you could, but I'd rather be in here nice and warm next to you.
Bitter cold night in Stores. Nothing cold about these Huskies. They're 13-0. They continue to get outstanding play from so many different players, including Swincash Wednesday against West Virginia.
Bob, Swincash always comes to play, scoring 8 of the team's first 10 points against West Virginia. 9 points, 6 boards a game, making about half of her shots. She's so energetic. She gets the team pumped up both defensively and offensively, and she's tough to guard and she's tough to keep off the glass.
At 11-4, Pittsburgh off to its second-best start ever. 50% of the Panthers' points have been scored by freshmen. The best of those freshmen is Mandy Wittenmeyer.
Well, Mandy Wittenmeyer does not play like a freshman. She is wise beyond her years, leading the team both in scoring and rebounding, making 50% of her shots. She can do it all over the floor. Coach Tracy Waits told me, Meg, if I had to pick one play to run at the end of the game, I'm running to her to beat the Huskies. Now, that's quite a thing to pick a freshman to go to at the end of the game. That tells you the poise and how good this young lady is.
UConn leads the Big East in rebounding. One reason why is Paige Sauer, a season-high 13 boards against West Virginia. The starting lineup. Welcome back to Stores and the 35th meeting between UConn and Pittsburgh. Let's swing it over to Chris Monahan. He's the public address announcer at Gamble Pavilion for the starting lineups, preceded by a very special presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, on December 29th, 1999, junior guard Shea Ralph scored her 1,000th career point versus Oklahoma, making her the 17th highest scorer in UConn women's basketball history. At this time, please direct your attention to center court, where head coach Gino Oriema will present Shea Ralph with a basketball honoring her 1,000th career point. Congratulations, Shea Ralph. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are tonight's starting lineups. First, for the University of Pittsburgh, a 5'9" senior from Rochester, New York, number 14, Gina Montesano. A 5'6" senior from Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, number 15, Michelle Katkowski. A 5'5" junior from Yorba Linda, California, number 24, Monique Toney. A 6'7" senior from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 40, Nakia Morris. And a 6'2" freshman from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, number 50, Mandy Wittenmeyer. Pittsburgh assistant coaches are Bill Broderick, Trisha Elser, and Kate Galligan. The head coach of the Panthers in her second season is Tracy Waits. And now, the starting lineup for your number 1 nationally ranked University of Connecticut Huskies. A 5'9" sophomore from Syosset, New York, number 10, Sue Bird. A 6'2" sophomore from McKeesport, Pennsylvania, number 32, Swincash. A 6'2" junior from St. Petersburg, Russia, number 25, Svetlana Abrosimova. A 6' junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina, number 33, Shea Ralph. And a 6'5" senior from Midwest City, Oklahoma, number 41, Paige Sauer. Connecticut assistant coaches are Jamel Elliott and Tanya Cardoza. The associate head coach is Chris Daly. And the head coach of the Huskies.
UConn has certainly had its way with Pittsburgh. The Huskies have won their last 12 meetings with the Panthers. Back with the opening tip from Gamble Pavilion. Right after that, back to Gamble Pavilion, where UConn has been a remarkable 105-2 in this arena in the last 6+ seasons. Tonight, the Huskies' first look at the season at a Pittsburgh team, Megan, which might be the most improved team in the conference.
Without a doubt, and a lot of it goes to that young lady right there, Mandy Whitmire. But I think you have to give all the credit in the world to Tracy Waits. She's an unbelievable coach, and she holds her kids accountable. She's got a tremendous staff assembled. She holds her kids accountable for everything that happens, and she's a terrific teacher. She's a wonderful person, a positive role model, and just a very nice person and an outstanding coach. It's going to be exciting to see some of the matchups between these two teams in the future.
The Huskies have had their way with Pittsburgh, leading the all-time series 25-9, 14-4 in UConn home games. The Huskies has the advantage, and UConn has won 3 of its 4 meetings with Pittsburgh in Big East tournament play. UConn starts out defensively in the man-to-man, and initially, Megan, Svetlana Abrosimova guarding the point guard Gina Montesano.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice there. Everyone talks about Abrosimova not playing defense very well.
Montesano missing the shot. Long rebound. Whitmire saves to Tony. Left side Montesano again.
But I have to interject that Sveta, she believes that she plays tremendous defense, and she works hard at it. She's worked to get better.
This is Tony at only 5'5", down low to 6'7", to Kia Morris. Aren't too many people that Paige Sauer looks up at, but Morris will be one of them.
You just can't let her catch the ball that low on the block. You've got to bump her up the lane, make it a 5-footer instead of a 3-footer.
And Pittsburgh starts out in a zone.
Lack of communication that time. Ralph looking back at Sue Bird, and certainly not going to please head coach Gino Auriemma, who already took off the jacket, which we saw the other night against West Virginia. He didn't take it off all game.
So now when he walked out of this arena during practice yesterday, was that to look at film, or was that because he was upset at the intensity or lack of the practice?
I would probably have to say the latter, but what did he say in the paper, that he was looking at film? That's his story?
That's his story, and he's sticking to it. Little 5'5" Monique Tony will get to the line as she draws the first foul of the evening. Tony out of Cerritos Valley Christian School in Yorba Linda, California. Gino Auriemma won his 370th game on Wednesday night against West Virginia. A nice, comfortable 40-point victory.
Well, what's so important for Pittsburgh this evening, and what Tracy Waits was talking about with us before the game, you know, for the first 10 minutes of this game, they want to just stay in it. They don't want to get blown away, control the tempo. I say they've done that, being up already 3-0 against the Huskies.
This is Sue Bird quickly to Svetlana Abrosimova. Down low, Sauer faces the hoop. Good ball movement. Abrosimova for 3. Well, UConn has matched its 3-point field goal output of Wednesday night's game already. They were 1 for 14 the other night.
Yeah, so much for that high 3-point shooting percentage.
And a traveling violation signaled by Patty Broderick, working the game tonight with Benita Spence and Tom Danaher. Tracy Waits, the only player in women's college basketball history to play in a Final Four at 2 different schools. She did it at Georgia, and she enjoyed it so much she did it again at Long Beach State.
She was an outstanding player.
Great baseline move by Cash, who will try to complete the 3-point play.
That's what makes Swin Cash so difficult to defend. She is so deadly when she gets the ball. Got a quick first step, big power dribble, and she can explode up, protected the ball with her body, initiated that contact, and yet stayed focused and knocked down the shot.
Foul on Nakia Morris, her first, and first on the Panthers as Cash goes to the line. She had a terrific game against West Virginia. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 6 of 8 from the floor, 3 steals, all that in only 17 minutes. That's productivity. And here's Cash getting a hand on the inbound pass. Can't save it, however, so it will be Pittsburgh ball with 27 seconds left on the shot clock.
Swin just plays with so much energy. You can tell she just loves the game, loves to play. She's blessed with a lot of God-given ability, but my goodness, she just works really hard.
And playing against the hometown team tonight, Pittsburgh Panthers. Montesano dribbles out of the double team. Now finds Tony for the wide open look.
Do not leave that young lady open. 43% 3-point shooter. She'll knock it down.
Her 25th 3-point field goal of the season. Nice look into the lane. Bird to Sauer.
That's what you got to do against that zone. Flash the high post. Waite said they want to play a lot of zone. They know they can't hang with UConn. defensively.
UConn scored 27 of its 32 field goals against West Virginia in the paint. And already we've seen a Brosimova with a 3 and a Sauer with a jumper from just inside the foul line. Brooke Stewart is checked into the lineup for Pittsburgh, replacing Michelle Katkowski, who evidently caught an elbow to the forehead. She's sitting on the bench with an ice pack, or maybe to the eye. Looks like she's in a bit of discomfort. Here's Bird, wide open 3. Long rebound of Brosimova, who leads the Huskies in that department.
Well, against the zone, Bob, it's really difficult for the zone to box out. And that's where the Huskies got to get on the boards.
It could be number 2 on Morris. Let's see. Foul on the floor against the Panthers. It will be.
So what you do against the zone, against a double team on the ball there, Swin did the right thing. She split the defense, big strong dribble, and Morris at 6'7" just can't stay with Swin. Swin is just too quick.
And Morris will have to leave with her second foul, only 3:08 in. Replacing her in the lineup is Celeste Barkley, a transfer from Monroe Community College. Kenitra Johnson in for the Huskies, as is Asia Jones. Nice spin move for Jones. Sauer with the good work off the offensive glass, and she will get to the line.
And Sauer did the right thing. She crashed the boards, and she caught the ball and put it right back up. She didn't put it on the floor. You got to really react and be able to hit the floor and explode back up.
Foul on Montesano is her first, and that's 3 on the Panthers as Sauer misses the first free throw. Page coming off one of her most solid performances of the year against West Virginia. She had 7 points, but 13 rebounds. She misses the free throws, and Asia Jones is there to clean up. Jones had maybe her best game of the year against West Virginia. 14 points and 8 rebounds. In the backcourt, Stewart will have to call a timeout to avoid a held ball situation, and we will step aside with 16:32 to go in the first half, and the Huskies already have doubled up the Panthers. 10,027 at Gamble Pavilion. The Huskies off to a quick 5-point lead.
Bob, FYI,
I think there was still a lot of traffic on Nantucket back then, like there is now in the middle of summer. Well, it was January. It was off-season. Rebounding, the Huskies, who lead the league in that department with the early advantage. Here's a kick-out pass to Whitmire, and winds up in the lap of UConn reserve Marcy Zell. Not what you wanted out of the timeout, huh?
No, and that's not the way Zell wants to get her hands on the ball either. And Waits is not going to be real happy with that. You know, Tony went in there, had the right idea, but, you know, make the easy play. Don't try to make it fancy.
Kelly Schumacher is checked into the lineup for the Huskies. Down low, a Brosimova, and she will get to the free throw line. That's 4 team fouls on the Panthers in the first 3:51. Well,
it was a good find, and when you play zone defense, you got to be careful. The guys on the back line have to do a good job of communicating, especially the forward away on the weak side of the floor, away from the ball, because you have to be able to communicate and see where everyone is. That time, Svetlana did a fabulous job of sneaking in behind and got the ball, and then the defense was in trouble, and she initiated that contact.
Barkley returning for Pittsburgh, replacing Dallas Williams, who was not in the lineup very long. Pittsburgh with a very small lineup on the floor now, with 5'5" Monique Toney and 5'8" Brooke Stewart at the guard spots. So it's UConn by 7. Brosimova with 5 points in the early going. Here's the full court pressure, and Toney trapped in front of us, may have hit it off Ralph's leg and did. So it's Panthers ball with 23 seconds left on the shot clock.
Good defense there. See, you don't want to necessarily steal the ball. You certainly don't want to foul. Heads up play by Toney. Wait for your teammates to steal that out of the pass.
Montesano gets it across to Stewart, defended by Jones. UConn really extending the half-court defense, and Johnson bumps into Toney and will pick up her first foul and 2 on the Huskies.
A little too overzealous that time by Johnson.
And we have our first official timeout of the night. 15:47 to go in the first half, and UConn off to a 7-point lead, 12-5. Megan, we've already had a look at Brooke Stewart, 5'8" freshman in the lineup for the Panthers. Here's a young woman out of North Versailles, Pennsylvania, in high school, as we take a look at Michelle Ketkowski. We told you that she evidently took an elbow to the eye or forehead area earlier in the game. Anyway, getting back to Brooke Stewart. In high school, Megan, she scored 3,055 points. I mean, I thought that was a misprint. She averaged 29.5 points a game for 4 years.
That's sick to think that her freshman year she averaged 24 points, her sophomore year 32 points, and her junior year 30 points. I mean, this kid can flat out score.
Now, I want to know, we also understand that she took ballet lessons, tap dancing lessons, and jazz lessons for 6 years. When did she find time to practice her shooting sufficiently to score 3,000 points?
Well, maybe she just, her footwork was so good. And, that's where the dancing and all that stuff, it does come into play. That, you've got to have really good footwork. If you can catch the ball and have your feet ready, you're in better shape than a lot of people. Maybe if we ask her to dance out there, she will.
I was going to say, inevitably in the middle of the winter, especially when, the Pittsburgh team will run into some travel problems, flight delays. She could entertain the team.
She absolutely could. And
talented kid.
And I understand you're a really good dancer. You should go out there and dance with her.
Oh, I've been known to dance, but only with the headset on. Stewart will inbound as we got a quick peek at Kenitra Johnson, the Huskies' outstanding freshman. As we mentioned at the very beginning of the telecast, this Pittsburgh freshman class has accounted for 50% of the Panthers' points. Montesano looks to get a screen from Barkley instead, tries the right side, and Johnson with the kick, so that will result in a recycled shot clock for Pittsburgh. Gino Auriemma's club 13-0 for the 4th time in 6 years, and now the only undefeated Division I team in the country, because Tulane was a loser this afternoon to a Cincinnati team, which Pittsburgh beat on a shot at the buzzer earlier in this season, a shot by Monique Toney. Stewart drives the lane, wild shot. Boy, maybe that's how she scored 3,055 points, by getting a lot of shots out. Ralph misses the shot, but hustles for the rebound. Out to Abrosimova. Ralph on the left. Svetlana, nice feed down low to Schumacher. Can't finish, but Asia Jones with the rebound. And a foul on the Panthers. It will be Husky ball beneath the hoop.
Now, it's a shame that Ralph didn't score the layup, because Kelly Schumacher had such a tremendous outlet pass to set up that fast break. But when Kelly Schumacher, when you get the ball in the post, there's certain things you got to do. You got to go hard to the basket. She needed to take. She's got nice long legs. Take a big step to the basket.
Foul on Montesano, her second 5 in the club, and Shea Ralph has trouble inbounding, so she will call a timeout to avoid a 5-second call. So it will be UConn ball, up 12-5.
Now, height advantage. See, she doesn't take that big of a step, and the defense is able to come over. You take a big step, establish your position down there, so anyone who comes near you, you've already got position. She's got to be more aggressive down there, Bob. That should have been a layup or 3-point play.
Schumacher, a productive 18 minutes against West Virginia on Wednesday. She had 5 rebounds and 3 blocks, and there you see the rebounding story. The Huskies not only lead the Big East in rebounding, but are 14th in the country. This is a Pittsburgh team, Megan, that's 3rd in the Big East and 7th in the country in field goal defense. So we have two of the top 10 teams in the country in field goal defense on the floor tonight.
And it's surprising that Pitt is playing so much zone.
Lainey Selwyn in at the point off the bench, and she gets her hands on the ball, creating a held ball situation. Possession arrow pointing toward the Huskies with 25 seconds left to shoot.
Shea Ralph didn't really help Kelly Schumacher too much with that play, the bounce pass. She's the big guy. Get it up in the air.
Ralph has trouble inbounding again. Barely beats the 5-second call. Johnson, 2-3 Panthers zone. Johnson with the wide open look for 3. Kenitra Johnson was 5 for 5 from behind the arc against UCLA, and she's second on the team in 3-point field goals this year.
That'll spread out that zone defense.
And we're going to get a foul in the backcourt on the Panthers, and it will be on Wittenmeyer. So that's 6 fouls on Pittsburgh, and they have been evenly distributed among 3 players. Montesano, Morris, and Wittenmeyer all with 2 fouls, and Tracy Waits is in big trouble foul-wise. Feed into the post of Schumacher, may have been bumped from behind. I'll tell you, that Celeste Barkley plays like her namesake.
She sure does.
Even wears the number that Charles wore in Philadelphia, 34.
Well, that turnover should be credited to Abrasimova because she didn't help Schumacher. Schumacher can't see the person coming behind her.
This is Tony, defended by Kenitra Johnson. Great quickness there on the switch. Tamika Williams tries to stay with her, and she stayed with her all right and got a handful of the ball. So does Schumacher, but great hustle by Wittenmeyer to keep it alive, but a shot clock violation on the Panthers.
Well, that's what helps, to have that big shot blocker in the lineup, and somehow the ball stayed in play. But as you said, tremendous hustle there by Wittenmeyer to keep the ball in play.
Notice how she yelled as she blocked the shot. You ever try to sneeze without opening your mouth? I'm convinced it's a physical impossibility. I don't think Kelly Schumacher is capable of blocking a shot
or keeping your eyes open,
and letting loose one of those primal screams. But that's okay, whatever works.
Absolutely.
Pass down low, knocked away by the Panthers, and a reach-in foul on Abrasimova. That will be number 1 on Svetlana.
And Svetlana Abrasimova in that situation cannot believe that the foul was called.
Connecticut foul number 25, Svetlana Abrasimova.
But getting out on the break,
foul, 3rd on the team.
Didn't look like there was too much contact, but you reach in, you'll pay the price.
Panthers have now gone 4.5 minutes without a field goal. Selwyn nearly lost the ball herself on the sideline. Picks up her dribble way far away. You don't want to do that unless you know what you want to do with it. Williams gets a hand on it. Shot clock inside 10. Tenacious half-court defense by the Huskies. Barkley starts to go. Pass for Montesano, and she threw it away.
What was impressive about that defensive stance was, and Oriema works on this so often in practice, is that they didn't make just 1 or 2 plays, but they kept rotating and sliding and making 3 and 4 plays and getting to the next spot that you have to be. That's good team defense.
Johnson will walk it across. Sue Bird back in the lineup for the Huskies. Bird in 20 minutes the other night only took 3 shots. Scored 5 points. Gino Oriema really did everything in his power to try to hold the margin of victory down against a clearly outmanned West Virginia team. Bird misses the 3 and steps into the passing lane and nearly picked off that Selwyn pass. Tracy Waits in her 2nd year here at Pittsburgh. Before that, she was an assistant for 4 years at Arizona. And while there, the Wildcats went to the NCAA tournament twice and won 20 games 3 times.
Yeah, she was so important to Joan Bomsey. She became the associate head coach as well.
Following the steal, Bird to Ralph for the finish. It's been a rough couple of minutes on the floor for the freshman point guard Selwyn. And Tracy Waits calling timeout, perhaps to address that very point. 12:21 to go in the half, and Pittsburgh is stuck on the number 5, down by 12.
Well, Tracy Waits was telling us before the game, her kids are excited to play, but you've got to be smart, and you got to make the right decisions. You can't make lazy passes, and like that, the Huskies will make you pay. And it's just that their hands are so active. And Ralph gets out on the break, possibly better than anyone in the country.
Points off turnover, UConn 10 and Pittsburgh 1. Of course, these are, I guess you might call them sandwich games as we look at the turnover story for Pittsburgh's not very pretty. Huskies last week, big win over Tennessee, heavily anticipated game. Then you come home, play a West Virginia team, which is certainly in the lower echelon of the Big East. Then a Pittsburgh team, although much improved, and then you got Rutgers on Monday. So these 2 games in between 2 huge games, Tennessee and Rutgers.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's difficult to stay up for the games when you know that you're better than the other team, but You've got to find a way to do it, and that's why Orima wasn't real happy the last couple of days in practice, as evidenced by his need to watch film in the middle of practice yesterday.
Jackie Campbell, 5'8" sophomore from Monroe Falls, Ohio, called for the travel. That's turnover number 7 for Pittsburgh, who is 11th in the 13-team Big East in the turnover ratio department. And dead last, by the way, in free throw shooting, which may have cost them a win the other night at Providence. Only 12 of 23 from the line. Sauer turnaround, misses everything, but Tamika Williams with great hustle to keep it alive. Shot clock does not recycle, and Bird is called for the travel.
Well, Sauer wasn't ready for that shot. She wasn't even barely turned around, and that's why she didn't hit anything.
We have an official timeout. 11:47 to go in the half, and UConn up 12. At Gamble Pavilion, where 13-0 UConn leads by 12. This copyright wants to do that, they have to ask for your permission, right? That part of the deal. You got to sign off on it.
I'll sign your name.
11-0 UConn run over the last 6 minutes. Pittsburgh 2-2 in the Big East. Played Rutgers very tough down in Piscataway, only lost by 6. Campbell drives and will draw the foul on Sue Bird. Number 2 on Bird, and that will be number 5 on the Huskies.
Well, that time Campbell did a nice job of turning the corner. And again, it's all about initiating that contact. She went up aggressively, and Bird bumped her.
Make that team foul number 4 on UConn as Campbell makes the first free throw. Jackie Campbell has only played 69 minutes thus far this year. Bird departs. Kenitra Johnson and Ralph will be in the backcourt now for UConn, along with Sauer, Jones, and Cash. UConn will host 9th-ranked Rutgers on Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock at the Civic Center as the Huskies play in the traditional Martin Luther King's birthday game on national TV. Johnson misses the 3. Rebound Sauer has it taken away by Campbell. Campbell up the floor. Right side Stewart. Campbell tries to go by Ralph, and as she starts to go, it's knocked away. Last touch by the Panthers as Whitmire and Morris will both return for Pittsburgh, each with 2 personal fouls. Morris, the 6th leading shot blocker in the country, Megan.
Well, she's got such long arms and pretty good anticipation. I mean, to be in the top 6, that's a heck of a thing. But, you know, as evidenced by those turnovers, you got to take care of the basketball if you hope to stay with the #1 team in the country.
There are 27 turnovers in the heartbreaking loss of Providence the other night. Jones misses the shot. Rebound, Laney Selden.
I'll tell you something. If UConn plays like this on Monday, they're in big trouble. They're just a little lackluster effort on offense. Pittsburgh is able to get into the lane, get whatever shot they want.
Whitmire misses the shot. Rebound Ralph. Up the floor, kind of got caught on her leg. And I think Tracy Waits thought it got caught on the leg before anyone made contact. Instead, it will be a foul on the Panthers. It will be their 7th, so Ralph will shoot some free throws, and that is an area of the game, like so many, that she is pretty good at. 67 of 79 on the year.
And free throws, Bob, are you get yourself into a routine, and it's all about concentration and focus and being mentally tough.
As Ralph makes the first one. Shea was honored before the game for scoring her 1,000th point. Thus far tonight, she's got 3 points, so she's got 1,072. Megan's keeping close track of that because Megan is next on the list for Shea to jump over. Entering the night, she needed 37 to catch my partner. Now she needs 34, so you're doing the tallies there like the people that serve jail sentences do on the wall in the prison.
How many days left?
How many points left before you become even more
further down
obscure,
the list?
Right?
Yeah.
Brosimova passed you earlier in the year.
Yeah,
Svetlana''s got her eye on your former teammate Laura Lishnas, and Svetlana with 5 tonight. She needs only 22 more to catch Laura for 13th place.
Yeah, well, us old timers, with the terrific young players that are playing the game today, we're going to continue to drop further and further down that list.
Well, you won't have a chance to move up, will you?
No way.
Montesano, foot was on the line. It's a 2. And that means that the Panthers have now gone without a field goal for about 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Great move inside by Asia Jones.
And the problem is it was a terrific move there by Asia, but you got to finish. Because especially against a team like Pittsburgh, who's not that big, save the 6'7" Morris, you know, against the physical teams, you got to make them.
Shea Ralph showing why she's second in the Big East in steals. Abrasimova can't finish. And Tracy Waits is irate because she felt Ralph got away with an over-the-back foul on that rebound. At any rate, it will be Panthers ball. 9:25 left, first half, 18-7 UConn.
Well, Bob, from our angle, it did look like Shea Ralph got away with one there.
Stewart up the sideline to Wittenmeyer. Pittsburgh shooting 22% from the floor tonight, 2 of 9. This against the UConn team which held West Virginia to 21% for 40 minutes the other night. Jones deflects the pass out of bounds. Panthers ball with 12 to shoot as Gino Auriemma looks on. We will hear from Gino at halftime, and he will address the question, which team is better, this one or the one that won the national championship in 1995?
Well, I can tell you right now, I don't know if he's real happy with the team he's got.
Well, his answer's already on tape, so we can't change it.
Yeah,
that's
but if you look
up.
at his body language right now, and that happens, you know, the kids are staying in a hotel, it's winter break. Like you said, the little sandwich action with the Tennessee game 2 games ago. This is the stuff you need to start it on the defensive end.
Anitra Johnson goes from one end to the other. We will hear from Gino coming up on the New Haven Register halftime report. Also a conversation between Megan and Shea Ralph. Here's a foul on the backcourt on the Huskies.
Now, is it me or are there a lot of fouls being called here tonight?
That's number 1 on Cash and 6 on UConn. We've had 13 fouls thus far in the early going. Michelle Ketkowski, who took that elbow to the eye area earlier, is back in. She's a 5'6" senior. Again, the full court pressure employed by UConn. Tony gets it across the line. Bodied up by Tamika Williams, and the pass into the post deflected by Asia Jones, and last touch by Nakia Morris.
Asia Jones is quick enough that at the last minute she got around Morris, a little side front, was able to knock it away, and then Morris tried to grab it, and she knocked it out of bounds.
So we played 11 minutes. Pittsburgh has 7 points and 10 turnovers. Cash, left side jumper. Rebound to Morris, who at 6'7" is the tallest player in the 26-year history of the Pittsburgh basketball program.
Now, Cash, to become a great player, she has got to knock down that mid-range jumper.
Selwyn's pass deflected by Jones and winds up in the lap of Tamika Williams. Left side Ralph, can't leave her alone. That could be number 3 on Morris.
And the problem there, Morris, see, this is where when you're on the break offensively, you need to attack right to the basket. But see, Morris didn't even see Ralph coming with the ball. The ball is the only thing that can score. It doesn't matter where your man is. You have to always know where the ball is. That is the primary responsibility. Secondary is finding your man.
So there you see number 3 on Morris. Let's see if Tracy Waits tries to get her out of the game. That's 18 fouls first half on Pittsburgh. Jones departs for UConn, replaced by Stacy Hansmeyer, the 6'1" senior from Norman, Oklahoma. And here comes Barkley back in, replacing Morris. Morris last year did some work in the University of Pittsburgh Media Relations office, and as part of her duties, she had to do some research for the Women's Basketball Media Guide. Hope she didn't tell any lies about herself.
Well, it gives you a special appreciation for how hard everyone works in that sports information office. That's a thankless job. Lots of hours, lots of numbers. That's why I stay as far away from that stuff as possible.
Tony starts to go, and as she does, she's called for traveling, and the nightmare continues for the Panthers. We have a timeout, 7:34 to go. first half. Pittsburgh has not scored a field goal in more than 10 minutes. Back at Gamble Pavilion, 7:34 to go first half. UConn leading Pittsburgh by a score of 21-7. The Huskies trying to extend their home court winning streak against Big East opponents to 62. As we look at a very upset Tracy Waits, who was telling Megan and me before the game that one of the keys when you come in here is you can't get blown out early. It happened to West Virginia the other night, and if UConn had been a little more efficient on offense in the first 12.5 minutes, this would be a total blowout. As it is, a 14-point UConn lead, and Pittsburgh has gone 10 minutes and 26 seconds without a field goal.
You can't do that against anybody, let alone the best team in the country. But what I like about Tracy Waits and what she's done with this very young team, you know, she has them working so hard. They have a lot of fun playing together, and they want to compete with the best. That's what she said. You know, I mean, we're going to compete with the best out there.
Ralph misses the side jump. Tamika Williams with the putback to make it 23-7 UConn. Tamika Williams now 28 of 39 from the floor this year. 71% entering the ball game, and she just improved on it there. She also gets a hand on the pass to knock it out of bounds. Remember when she went out with the stress fracture, Megan, Gino said that the greatest loss to the team without Tamika on the floor is that she's so good at the front of the press, and there was a great example why. You know,
because she's so strong, she's very, very quick, and she can get out there. She anticipates very well, but you know, she guards oftentimes the other player's best perimeter player, which you wouldn't think being a forward, but she's just so quick and so explosive.
Johnson gets a hand on it. Boy, UConn's getting a hand on everything. As perhaps inefficient as the offense has been tonight, Megan, the defense has been that good at the other extreme.
And it's, you know, it's not always going to be there on both ends of the floor for you. You're not going to play perfectly a lot, but as long as you continue to work hard and do things like that, you'll be all right.
Boy, it has been a rough night for freshman Lainey Selwyn. Shea Ralph with her 5th and 6 points of the night. Now an 18-point lead, and here's another steal. Cash, baseline to Tamika Williams, whistled before the shot, and a blocking foul on the Panthers. It's their 9th, so Tamika will go to the line to shoot the 1-on-1.
Well, what has impressed me about the Huskies this evening, yeah, they came out, as you just mentioned, haven't been terrific offensively, have missed a bunch of easy shots, but they're working so hard on the defensive end, stepping in the passing lane right there, Shea Ralph, and finishing, and they're not giving up on anything. They're not hanging their heads because they've missed some shots. This team has really come a long way.
Tamika Williams with the free throw, now 11 of 18 from the line on the year. 26-7 Huskies. Misses the second. Rebound, last touch.
That's a great call.
Wow.
You know, Stacey Hansmeyer hit the ball into Wittenmeyer's hands, and I don't know if we've got that to see it again, but that was I agree with that call. And you know I don't do that very often.
Well, that's why, you know, Whitmire, I guess in her own mind, thought it went the other way. But that's what, you know, if you have a chance to catch up with it, you know, go ahead, get the ball.
Absolutely.
Don't risk the, you know, having the official perhaps make it what you think's the wrong call.
You always have to control what you can control. Never leave it up to anybody else.
Meanwhile, the Panthers pick up foul number 10. This one will be on Monique Toney, who's been very quiet tonight, and Kenitra Johnson will go to the line to shoot a couple. She misses the first, as Asia Jones returns for the Huskies, replacing Swin Cash. Swin is one of 6 women in the Pittsburgh area who's been nominated for the Dapper Dan Sportswoman of the Year award. Johnson misses both free throws.
For as good a shooter as Kenitra Johnson is, 48% from the floor, 47% from behind the arc, she's only a 61% free throw shooter.
Great backdoor cut by Toney, and Tamika Williams may have gotten a piece of her to send her to the line.
Everyone loves to block shots, and Williams coming over from the weak side there. Instead of trying to get the block, get over, get outside the lane, take a charge. don't worry about blocking it. I know it looks good and gets the crowd pumped, and if you're Kelly Schumacher, you get to yell out this barbaric scream, but do the right thing. Get over and take a charge.
So at the line is Monique Tony. He's the one that made the basket to beat Cincinnati. As Tracy Waits looks on. She told me yesterday, Megan, about UConn, when you have so many great players, you would think there might be jealousies, but they play together. They look like they're having fun. I know Gino won't want to hear this, but I think they can go 37-0.
Well, I can tell you, no coach wants to hear something like that. But it's a very nice compliment coming from another coach, and especially someone who's as good of a coach as Tracy Waits is.
Look at the ball movement on this possession for the Huskies. Jones couldn't get the shot to fall, but the Huskies attacked that zone. Tic-tac-toe. Stewart on the left to Williams. Now in the post it goes to Whitmire, and another steal. Here's Ralph, has Hansmeyer underneath, picks up the dribble, finds Johnson. Johnson from behind the Hansmeyer screen.
They just find ways to hurt you, the Huskies, and the hurt could be a lot worse if they're making a lot more of their shots, but Johnson likes it to shoot off the dribble.
12.5 minutes without a field goal for the Panthers. They trail by 20. And another deflection by Ralph. It will be Pittsburgh ball with 21 to shoot. Paige Sauer replaces Tamika Williams. And Jackie Campbell back in for the Panthers, replacing Tony. Swin Cash back in for UConn as Hansmeyer sits down. And Montesano replaces Selwyn. And here comes Abrosimova back in for the Huskies. As Kenitra Johnson will get a rest. She scored 7 points. There's the turnover story, and the Huskies have capitalized on them.
It all starts with defense, and if you can create opportunities for your offense off of your defense, you're going to be the better for it. And the Huskies, as poor as they've been shooting, they have taken advantage.
Shot clock inside 10. Ralph gets a hand on it, and Cash winds up with it. 2-on-2 at the hurry, and here comes the trailer. Jones to make it 3-on-2. Count it, and the foul.
A terrific run, fast break with Shea Ralph making the right pass, the bounce pass to Asia Jones, running up the gut. And let's check out. See, she went to the side. She didn't go right through the defense. Jackie Campbell made the right play, did the right thing, but she came in, and you cannot move like that.
Jones misses the free throw. Here comes Pittsburgh. Stewart, right side jumper, missed everything. Rebound Whitmire to the cutter Campbell. Gets her own miss, forces a shot. Jones sends it right back at her. And here come the Huskies, up 22. Cash from the right side. Sauer tries to keep alive the rebound, but Pittsburgh will run it down at midcourt.
You know, Cash missed a wide open Jones underneath the hoop on that last possession. That would have got this crowd to its feet.
The Panthers are 2 of 12. That's awful. 12 shots. 12 shots in 15 minutes. That's because of all the turnovers. 17 of them. And here's Ralph all by her lonesome.
That was a split second from a monster collision at half court.
You don't want to have them at any time, but especially when you're up by, well, was 22 before it, now 24. Stewart. Campbell finds Montesano on the right. Shot clock inside 10, and another steal. Here's Abrosimova in the open floor. Holds up, feeds Jones down low. Went a little bit too far underneath and hit the bottom of the rim. And we're going to get a timeout with 3:23 to go in the first half. The Huskies have been stealing everything in sight, folks. Shea Ralph and UConn up 24. Been a lot to laugh about in the early going tonight. UConn up by 24. It has been a nightmare first half for the visiting Pittsburgh Panthers.
2-0.
Speaking of Nova, they trail Rutgers 29-22 at the half tonight. That would be Villanova. Cash with the layup inside. UConn will be at Villanova next Saturday afternoon. You'll see that one here on CPTV. Before that, the Huskies will host Rutgers Monday afternoon at the Hartford Civic Center to renew what certainly has been the best rivalry in the Big East in recent years. Last year, the two teams shared the regular season conference title at 17-1, and there's turnover number 19 for the Panthers. UConn's only Big East loss last year was to Rutgers.
Rutgers is
excuse me, other way around. Rutgers only loss in the Big East last year was to UConn. Huskies lost to Boston College.
And on that last possession, Whitmire couldn't believe the ball was called white, but you know what? It did go off her leg. So that was a good call by Tom Danaher.
Jones feeds Cash, no good, and Sauer with the putback.
Good offensive board that time by Sauer.
Pittsburgh has now gone 15.5 minutes without a field goal. They've taken 13 shots, and they've turned it over 19 times.
That's an alarming statistic.
Tony with the pull-up, misses everything. This is a 10-0 UConn run. Were it not for a couple of free throws, the run would be much longer. Johnson comes back in. Now, Pittsburgh the other night lost a heartbreaker at Providence on a Monica Roberts shot at the buzzer. It ended a 5-game Pittsburgh winning streak. The Panthers before that were 11-2. That's their second best start ever and their best start in 6 years. They've already won 3 more games this year than they did all of last year. So it's a program clearly turning around dramatically in the right direction.
Well, and Wade said, you know what goes around comes around. We stole one at Cincinnati, and you know, it's if you steal one, you got to expect to lose one like that.
Yeah, they beat Cincinnati thanks to a 3-point shot by Monique Toney with 5 seconds to go. They also had a dramatic shot in the final minute from Brooke Stewart against Duquesne to force overtime and went on to win that one. That, of course, a huge rivalry in the city of Pittsburgh. And speaking of Pittsburgh, Swin Cash from just outside the city in McKeesport makes the first free throw, her 6th point of the night. Celeste Barkley returns, replacing Dallas Williams. Barkley averaged 19 points and 11 rebounds per game last year at Monroe Community College. This is her first year in the Pittsburgh program. West Virginia had, what, 11 at the half the other night, right, Megan?
Yep.
Well, Pittsburgh's not there yet. They have 8. Last year, Quinnipiac scored 9 in the first half against UConn. That was an all-time record for fewest points scored against the Huskies in a half. Here's another turnover, and Cash down the middle finds Jones. Looked like she was fouled there by Montesano. No call. Great hustle. Who touched it last? Bonita Spence looked at Tom Danaher and said, "What you got?" And the ball will go toward UConn.
That's a great call there by Bonita Spence. You know, she didn't see it. She didn't know she was screened. Swin Cash always working so hard. We talked about her off the top. Always working. It looked like it was off a blue leg there.
30-point Husky lead. The Pittsburgh field goal drought now coming up on 17 minutes. Baseline, Jones. Shot clock at 10. Ralph puts it on the floor. Johnson for 3.
Credit that bucket to Shea Ralph, because what you want to do against his own dribble, penetrate, and then kick it out.
So, final minute of the half. Selwyn to Montesano. Tries to find the cutter, and there's another turnover. Number 21 ahead to Ralph for the layup.
It's a pretty appropriate sign right there. Huskies swallow pit.
About a second difference here between the shot clock and the play clock. Look at the hustle by Johnson, but Her foot was on the sideline while she was touching the ball, so it will be Panthers ball. 21 seconds left. Shot clock now off.
You know, Bob, one thing I think is really impressive with Johnson and the rest of the Huskies, to have this kind of lead, and they're still diving on the floor, and they're playing so hard. One thing you got to say about this team, they just play really hard, and they love to play basketball.
On the left, Whitmire goes around Schumacher. Will this end the drought? There you go. So the drought officially, or unofficially, I should say, 17 minutes and 52 seconds without a field goal. Finally ending a 17-0 UConn run as Whitmire gets the hoop and the foul.
Well, the problem there, Shuey came out forcing Whitmire to her left. But see, when you force a player to the baseline, you got no help coming from the backside. You force her to the middle where you have a lot of help. You got guards coming down. Whitmire did a nice job getting to the basket.
Here's Johnson, final possession of the half. Right side, Schumacher, got to shoot it. And we'll get a 3-second call, followed by the buzzer sounding the half. And wow, what was it, 39-11 at the half the other night against West Virginia. And here's a Pittsburgh team that beat West Virginia by 20, and the Panthers find themselves trailing 43-11 at halftime. Register halftime report. It is halftime between Pittsburgh and UConn. Welcome back to Gamble Pavilion. I'm Bob Picozzi. My partner Megan Pattison had a chance to chat with UConn junior Shea Ralph.
Shea, the comparisons have already started between this team this year and the 1995 35-0 team. How does that set with you guys?
Well, every year I think we're compared, be it by the audience or by coach, or if we watch the tapes. I mean, last year I think we watched some 95 tapes, and Jen and Jamel will forever live on our team. They will always be a teammate of ours, and we'll always hear about them. And they deserve it because they were really great, and they brought a lot to this program. But, you know, and it's an honor to be compared to them because they were so great. But at the same time, we're totally different than they are. You know, they have a totally different team. They had set players like Carol Walters, 6'7". You could throw the ball whenever, you know, your offense broke down. We don't really have that on our team. We have Svetlana, and you know, you lose sight of the ball whenever something breaks down with her. So it's just, you know, it's just different. It's an honor, though.
The win at Tennessee, nationally it did a lot to gain respect for your team, but maybe more importantly, you guys have a different sense of pride now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we definitely have a different sense of pride. It's just, last year was so hard for us, and every game that we played that was big time for us that we needed for our confidence, we lost. And we lost a little bit of ourselves and our confidence level and a lot of our pride and dignity, because a lot of the games were on the road, and a lot of it we knew we could have won and we could have executed, but we just didn't do it. And this year it's more like with every win that we have, be it in a big game or not, we just gain more confidence. And the big win against Tennessee, you know, we had a lot of confidence going into that game, but what we didn't really have, I don't think, is pride, and it's something that you have to earn.
Now, you coming into the season were not a captain. 2 weeks in, he named you a captain. What does that mean to you?
It's something that I've wanted for a long time. Ever since last year, you know, I felt like we really didn't have a leader. We kind of wandered last year, and you know, I'm glad that I was surprised. I about, you know, hit the deck whenever he said it. It was before practice one day, and he just said, "You're captain," and I was like, okay. And we had a game. It was actually before shoot-around, and we had a game that day, and I didn't play so good. And you can imagine what he did to me. So, but it's definitely an honor, and to be captain of such a great team, you know, it's a label. At the same time, you got to realize Sue Bird takes over a lot of the time. The leadership, Paige does a great job. Stacy, being seniors, they do a great job. So it's fun.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Shea Ralph, who was honored before the game for scoring her 1,000th point. It is halftime between UConn and Pittsburgh. The New Haven Register halftime report continues in a moment. Between Pittsburgh and UConn. Back at Gamble Pavilion, Bob Picozzi along with Megan Pattison. Now, Megan, this team is 13-0. The team that you were an assistant coach on in '95 that won the national championship won 35-0. Too soon to compare the two?
Well, I think it's only fair to do that. People have a tendency to do that. It's the nature of the beast. You're going to compare the teams. But you look back on that 95 team, yes, they went 35-0. 20-1-0 against Big East opponents. I mean, look at that, 33 points a game they won by, but they had tremendous leadership with Jen Rosati, Jamel Elliott, and then you had Rebecca Lobo and Kara Walters inside. Much different team, different style of team as this year's team is.
And as we take a look at what this year's team has done thus far, 6-0 against the top 25, 34.9 point average margin of victory. I guess no one would know better what the answer to the question is, would be Gino Auriemma. So Gino, which team's better?
This team is good. I'm not going to say they're not. And at times we're very, very good. That team was great because they won a national championship. So in January, that team was very good. This team is very good, but it's only January.
And of course, this team, Megan, still has some work to do. Look at the upcoming schedule.
Yeah, you know, the knock on the 95 team was that they didn't play anybody. This team has got a heck of a schedule. They got a big game coming up Monday. You know, there's a lot of teams in the Big East that are ranked.
Notre Dame on February 26th, and of course a return engagement with Tennessee. It is halftime between UConn and Pittsburgh. When we come back, Megan and I will take a look at some first half highlights and stats from Gamble Pavilion. Welcome back to Gamble Pavilion, where it is halftime and UConn hammering Pittsburgh 43-11. I'm Bob Picozzi. Let's swing it over to Megan Pattison. She's standing by with Associate Head Coach Chris Daly. Megan?
Thank you, Bob. That would be Gino Auriemma's hand that was just waving in there. Chris, this seems to be becoming a little bit of a habit. 2 games in a row, an enormous lead, 43-11. Not to be redundant, but what do you say to your team?
I thought we played a great half of defense. I thought it led into our transition, and we scored at will. We need to concentrate on working against zones. A lot of teams are going to play us zone, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to work on that.
Are you concerned at all, Sue Bird, the second game in a row, 0 for 2 from the floor, not a lot of shots? Does that concern you at all?
No, you know, she hasn't practiced as much, and I think that's going to hurt her. But it's something we have to do to be precautionary for her foot. But, you know, she's really going to, I think, have a chance to play a lot in the second half and hopefully work some of that out.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck in the second half. Bob, going back to you.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. It's Huskies by 32. UConn led West Virginia 39-11 at the half 3 nights ago. And Pittsburgh went 17 minutes and 52 seconds without a field goal in the first half. From the 18-minute mark to the 8-second mark, they turned it over 21 times, and they only took 15 shots. Let's take a look at some halftime highlights. The Huskies with make it 11 steals. Here's one of them. Shea Ralph steps in the passing lane and finishes at the other end by herself. She had 10 first half points on 4 of 6 shooting. She also had 5 of those 11 UConn steals, including 2 back-to-back. Here's another one, this time in the backcourt. Instead of finishing the job herself, she'll find Tamika Williams for her only shot of the night, in between the ball going to Swin Cash, then back to Tamika. A look at the stats, as we mentioned, the big one there, Megan, the 15 shots. You play 20 minutes, you only get 15 shots up.
Yeah, and not to mention that you only make 3 of them, but you got to get more shots and you got to take care of the basketball. And if you turn the ball over 21 times, obviously that will affect the number of field goals you attempt. But the big key is that you have got to take care of the basketball and attack, and you just got to get more shots.
Kenitra Johnson off the bench with 10 points in 13 minutes. Now that's a misprint. Kelly Schumacher didn't score 10. Shea Ralph did, but Swin Cash had 7 points. Kenitra Johnson 4 of 5 shooting in the first half. Shea Ralph 4 of 6. And Shea Ralph with 5 steals. The Huskies just got their hands on everything.
Well, you know, I was saying, yeah, Pitt has to get more shots, but you know what? You've got to give UConn so much credit for the defense that they did play. I mean, as you said, they got a hand in almost every pass that was thrown. They're very quick. They anticipate very well, and they're big across the board. They're bigger than the backcourt of Pitt. Monique Tony's only 5'5".
Pittsburgh ball to start the second half, and they start it the same way they left off. Ralph with her 6th steal of the evening. Abrosomova to Bird. Pittsburgh in the zone. Nakia Morris back in the lineup with 3 personal fouls. Bird with the pull-up, no good. Rebound pulled down by Whitmire. Morris only played 6 minutes in the first half because of those 3 fouls. So if you're Tracy Waits, Megan, you have to kind of approach it. It's a clean slate. We're probably not going to win this one. Let's play as hard as we can and as effectively as we can for the next 20 minutes. Try to build on it because we got Notre Dame coming into Pittsburgh on Tuesday.
Absolutely. It's about pride. It's about playing the game the way it's supposed to be played and doing what you do well. Not focusing on the mistakes you've made or what's gone wrong. Just start anew.
Tony got a hand on the Bird pass. Abrosomova baseline. Shot clock at 10. Zveta misses the runner, and she's fouled. It could be Whitmire's 3rd, and it is. Now, we should point out, and we don't mean to suggest that history will repeat itself, but playing at then 13th ranked Rutgers in December, this Pittsburgh team was down by 24. They went on a 21-1 run. They eventually cut the lead to 3. They held Rutgers without a field goal for the last 9 minutes of the game and wound up losing 58-52.
You're right. Anything can happen on any given day, and Tracy Waits teaches these kids to compete. Defense, discipline, and to compete every second of every minute that you're on the floor. Whether or not that's going to happen here tonight, Bob, I highly doubt it, just based on the way that Pitt has been playing and the intensity with which they've been playing defense. It's tough to do that in that 2-3 zone.
Abrosomova gets a hand on it, knocks it out of bounds. 14 seconds to shoot for the Panthers. Tracy told me yesterday, talking about that competing, Megan, she said our kids want to compete. In order to improve, you have to play the best. But our preparation for UConn wasn't any different than our preparation for any other opponent.
And that's absolutely correct. You shouldn't change the way you prepare just because you're playing the #1 team in the country.
Montesano beats the shot clock and drills the shot. It's a 2. Her foot was on the line. Montesano has had some knee problems. Pass to Abrosomova through her hands, and here come the Panthers. It's Ketkowski. Montesano sat out last year, a medical redshirt with a knee problem, and she began the season as a starting point guard, and then because of a knee injury, Tracy Waits decided to go with her off the bench, and she had 10 points off the bench the other night against Providence, and so she won back that starting job from the freshman Lainey Selwyn.
And I like Waits' theory. She said, you know what? I reward my kids for playing well and playing hard and doing the right things. And so Montesano played terrifically against Providence. So you know what? She got the starting nod here tonight. She offers some experience in that backcourt. You know, this is a very young team, and she's trying to teach these guys a lot. And they're like sponges soaking up a lot of it. But, you know, sometimes you just get overmatched.
This is Bird on the right. Brooke Stewart back in for the Panthers, replacing Tony, who's just 1 of 6 from the floor. Here's Bird for 3.
Well, the drought is over for Susie Bird.
Bird on the year is 16th in the country in 3-point shooting percentage entering the ball game.
And the thing about Bird, Bob, is that, you know, she missed a couple shots against West Virginia. Was 0 for 2 here in the first half, but remember the Tennessee game, had 8 straight points. She makes big shots when she needs to.
So Pittsburgh with back-to-back field goals as Ketkowski hits one in the lane. Ketkowski is the leading scorer in the history of Mount Pleasant High School in Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania. Scored 1,896 points. Abrosomova for 3, back rims it. Rebound in the lane to Montesano.
And what's interesting about Ketkowski is that her role on this team is not to be a scorer. Her role is exactly that, as a role player, to make good passes, be a good leader.
Turnover number 22 for the Panthers on the travel violation.
And I guarantee you that game against Rutgers, they didn't turn the ball over like this. And it's difficult to make a comeback from being down this much playing a zone, because you need to get in the face, get some steals, get some buckets in transition.
Back-to-back threes by Sue Bird, the sophomore from Syosset, New York, with her 25th and 26th three-pointers of the season. Bird has been on the winning team in the last 58 games that she's played, going back to the middle of her junior year in high school. She's coming up on the 3-year anniversary of the last time a team that she played on lost. Now that doesn't count last year when she missed 26 games with a knee injury. Now Ralph is hammered as she goes to the hoop. She's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
And that ball almost went in. This place would have gone nuts.
You don't want to give away any layups. So Ralph will get to the free throw line. Shea was named the Big East Player of the Week back on November 29th. That was when she was in the middle of that incredible stretch against Kentucky Old Dominion and Pepperdine. She made 18 straight field goal attempts.
And there was a time there where we thought she wasn't going to miss ever again.
I don't think I ever made 18 straight on the layup line when no one was guarding me. The buffet line's another story.
Well, that's a clearly different matter.
Especially in this place, you're definitely well defended on the buffet line in this place.
Oh yeah, they take care of you here. All kinds of food.
So Ralph departs. He's got 12 points. Shea, like her teammate Abrosimova, is a nominee for the Naismith National Player of the Year award. You know, when we were chatting at halftime about the comparisons perhaps between the 1995 UConn team and the 2000 team, here's Kenitra, or Swin Cash rather, will pick up foul number 2. That 1995 team, Megan, had 3 players who went on to win National Player of the Year awards: Lobo, Rosati, and Walters. Timeout, 15:52 to go in this one, and UConn with a 38-point lead, well on their way toward win number 14. It's 53-15, UConn leading Tracy Waite's Pittsburgh Panthers.
And you see the red bow there, the red ribbon on Tracy's lapel. That is for her older brother, James Waite, who passed away in December. So our condolences and sympathies to the entire Waits family. The players are also wearing a black band on their uniforms in remembrance of James.
Off the inbound pass, Kenitra Johnson with the steal and layup at the other end. And it goes on and on for the Huskies. They're now up by 40, 15.5 remaining. Abrosimova gets a hand on the pass, knocks it out of bounds. It will be Pittsburgh ball. Now Pittsburgh, of course, didn't play UConn in their 3 previous games, Megan, but entering the ball game, the Panthers had shot 50% or better in their previous 3 games. They shot 57% Wednesday night at Alumni Hall at Providence, only to lose by 1 at the buzzer.
Well, I could guarantee that they've never seen a defense like this.
Kenitra Johnson with another steal, but the Panthers steal it right back. Let's see if they can get something in transition. They haven't all night, but they do here. Count it, and the foul on Bird.
Susie Bird, that looked like she played pretty good defense there. But while she made a bad pass here to Asia Jones's foot, the Pirates do a nice job of running the break. Now, she was standing straight up, and I have to be honest with you, the officials are people, and I think they're going to make that call because of the score. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
Following the missed free throw, last touch by the Huskies, so it's Pittsburgh ball. That foul on Sue Bird was her 3rd and 2nd on UConn here in the second half. Selwyn with the reverse move, and as she spins, she draws the foul. Johnson was on one side, Tamika Williams on the other. And Patty Broderick is going to nail the freshman Johnson. It looked like she nailed the freshman Selwyn pretty good there.
That was
that money's worth.
Yeah. That would be a quasi mugging.
No, she wasn't in the act of shooting, huh? What was she doing? Active jumping.
Yeah, exactly. That was an interesting interpretation.
Stewart's spin move goes baseline, comes out the other end, can't get the roll. Morris keeps the rebound alive to her teammate Katkowski, and a new shot clock. I'll say this, the Panthers are playing hard. Not playing well, but they're playing hard.
And that's the most important thing that you've got to look at. Tracy Waits and her staff have taught these kids a heck of a lot, and these kids have done this in their high school careers and whatnot. But you know what? Regardless of the score, you've got to play hard. She holds her kids accountable for everything that happens. And even if you're not playing well, you're going to continue to play hard, or we're going to find someone who will.
Asia Jones deflects the pass out of bounds. Pittsburgh ball, 10 to shoot. Ketkowski to Stewart, goes around Bird, gets the screen from Morris, who deflects the rebound to Ketkowski, and another fresh 30. This possession is lasting longer than the Bush administration. The shot no good by Selwyn. Rejected, I should say. I guess both. Rejected and no good.
Yes, Abrasimova looked like she took a shot to the nose there.
Inbounding baseline is Selwyn. Whitmire trapped along the sideline, finds Ketkowski, and after all that, they still didn't score. Abrasimova with the left hand. She's hammered, counted, and the foul. Now Ketkowski tried to help Abrasimova up, and it looked like Svetlana at first wasn't terribly interested in her help. Looked like she gave a little kick there, didn't it?
It sure did, and I think Abrasimova was annoyed with the foul. And if I'm Abrasimova, I'd be pretty annoyed too. Because we know that's not Svetlana's personality. You have to provoke that out of her. She's about as nice as they come.
9 points for Abrasimova. Following the missed free throw, Tamika Williams will get whistled for an over-the-back foul. And it will be Pittsburgh ball. As Tracy Waits looks on. Glad you could join us here on Connecticut Public Television. We are at Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut. I'm Bob Picozzi along with Megan Pattison. 13:53 to go in the ball game, and UConn leads Pittsburgh by 40, 57-17, on the way to a 14-0 start as Abrasimova whistled for the foul on the perimeter.
And the fans are booing. She's saying, no way. Let's take a look for ourselves. She had a little hand on the body.
It's number 3 on Zveta, who last year as a sophomore was the Big East Player of the Year and the preseason choice as a junior to do it again. Whistle and a foul. This one's going to be on either Schumacher or Jones. I think it's on Kelly Schumacher.
A little bit too much, I think, with Schumacher's legs trying to bump Morris up the lane. A little too physical. You got to establish your position and get the spot before Morris does. Don't try to push her out of the way, or at least do it discreetly if you do.
Inbound comes to Morris, spoken by someone who's experienced in that area, huh? Discreetly. Jumper off the glass by Montesano. Up the floor, Whitmire nearly stole it, and Williams gets the layup.
I got a lot of the guys off the bench. Got Gino Auriemma up on his feet, clapping, saying, nice pass, KJ.
I'll tell you what, she keeps this up, she might shoot 75% from the floor for her career, Tamika Williams. I mean, she never misses a shot, does she?
Because you know what? She takes good shots. She takes high percentage shots, layups and offensive rebound putbacks.
There's the pass inside. Schumacher creates the held ball, and possession arrow pointing toward UConn. We've played 7 minutes here in the second half. After today, UConn will host Rutgers Monday afternoon at the Civic Center. Then a trip to Worcester and a visit to Holy Cross next Thursday. Johnson called for the double dribble. You don't see that called very often.
No, not in college anyway. Maybe at a CYO game.
Checking back in for Pittsburgh, number 34, Celeste Barkley.
Celeste Barkley checking back into the lineup for the Panthers. Young woman who we're told is fluent in sign language. Right sideline, it's Tony. Cross court. Montesano, shot clock at 10. Leaves for Wittenmeyer. And the freshman from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania with the jumper. She's the leading scorer and rebounder on the year for this Pittsburgh team.
And who set up that play was Montesano with the dribble penetration and then the nice bounce pass.
Jones finds Tamika Williams. Right side, Ralph to the cutter, Jones.
Terrific offense that time, Bob. Jones did a nice job just cutting down the lane, and a nice pass from Ralph.
And that pass is airmailed right in the hands of Tracy Waits. Timeout. UConn 61, Pittsburgh 21. You know who those folks are? That's Mr. and Mrs. Pattison.
Chomping on their gum, by the way.
Now they taping the game at home so they can watch.
No, they're
watch
thinking of
work,
nothing.
they don't care, huh?
My father's thinking of nothing right now but that gum in his mouth. And my mother, she's a lunatic. She's a lunatic. Do you see her eyes?
Well, 40-point game. They're sitting right behind the UConn bench. Pretty good seats. They must know somebody, huh?
I don't know where they got those tickets, to be honest.
Right sideline, Johnson. This is a three. Long rebound, Tamika Williams. But she'll be called for the travel as she kind of lost her balance when she came down. This, I would say, without a doubt, Megan, is Williams' most impressive performance since returning from the stress fracture. She looks like she's, well, if not all the way back, real close.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do, Bob, with any of the points or rebounds that she's gotten tonight. It's just the way she's playing, the energy, the aggression. She does seem to be back.
Johnson's pass hits Jones in the back, and it's been that kind of night for the Huskies. Winds up right back in Johnson's hands. Ralph finds Schumacher. Back to Shea. 11 minutes to go in the ball game. Down low, Asia Jones.
And Asia Jones worked real hard to set that up. She was posting up really strong down low. The nice feed from Kelly Schumacher at the high post.
The Huskies on the year shoot 45% from the floor. And tonight they're shooting 52%. 23 of 44 as we get wholesale substitutions for both clubs. Stacy Hansmeyer back in for UConn. Dallas Williams has returned to the lineup for the Panthers. There you see what UConn has done this season after intermission. That's remarkable, 57%. Down low, Williams will be whistled for the foul from behind. She is another member of this freshman class who says that when she's finished playing basketball, she wants to become a boxer. Dallas Williams.
Wow. I just never really understood the whole sport of boxing. I mean, I enjoy watching it, but why do you want to get punched in the face?
Well, the object is to avoid that from happening.
True. But the odds are you're going to get a couple pops to the nose. I have a hard enough time looking in the mirror.
Here's a former basketball player talking about getting popped in the nose. We saw Abrosimova get popped in the nose against Pepperdine, and she got it broken.
But imagine if that's the sole intent of your opponent is to break your nose and smash your face.
Ralph with the long rebound to Tony. Well, that's not exactly the complete object of it. The object is to outbox your opponent. Sometimes the end result is the same.
That would be my interpretation.
There's a turnaround by Lainey Selwyn. I'll tell you one thing. Boxing does require as much athletic ability as perhaps any sport. Hansmeyer buries the three.
I have a tremendous respect for boxers with their physical conditioning.
Hand-eye coordination. And as Alexander starts to go, she is fouled by Paige Sauer. That's Autumn Alexander, 6-foot junior, transfer from Olney Central College. And she will go to the free throw line for the Panthers. This will be only her third free throw attempt of the year. Has made one of the first two. This is a area of free throw shooting where the Panthers have really had their troubles this year. On the year, just 61% from the line, dead last in the Big East. We say it may have cost them the game Wednesday night at Providence when they were just 12 of 23 from the line. There was a night, Megan, where they shot 57% from the floor and lost by a point.
Well, what's amazing is that they're third in the Big East, shooting 36% from three-point range. They shoot 45% from the floor. And then how do you then rationalize why they shoot so poorly from the free throw line? It's got to be upstairs between the ears.
Well, Tracy Waits told me yesterday that her top two priorities at this point are to improve on that free throw shooting. She said we just don't concentrate enough and we give away points, and at the other extreme, other end I should say, we can be too lax on defense.
Well, two things that she really professes in her program, Tracy Waits, is defense and discipline. And she's again, as I said earlier, she's a great coach. She's turning things around here. I don't think the way that they're playing tonight is indicative. You gotta love the sense of humor she's got. She can find a way to laugh right now.
Hasn't exactly been a barrel of yucks tonight for her club. Huskies over the limit, so Alexander will go back to the free throw line. Pittsburgh won the Georgia Tech Atlanta Marriott Northwest Holiday Classic this year.
Do you want to say that again?
No, actually. Once was enough. They beat Campbell College in the opening round and then beat Georgia Tech in the final. Help is on the way next year. Transfer from Old Dominion, Bettina Love, a 6'2" junior from Rochester, will join the team next year. And Tracy is anxiously awaiting her arrival.
Plus, they've got 3 good recruits coming in. And don't forget, we talked about 50% of their scoring and rebounding come from the freshman class. So there's a lot to look forward to. But if I were them, I would not look forward to watching the tape of this game.
Turnover for the Huskies. And it doesn't get any easier. They play 6th-ranked Notre Dame on Tuesday, but at least that will be back at home at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse. Tony, ball fake. It's been a rough night for Tony, who had 21 points and a career-high 9 assists in the loss to Providence. Abrosimova with the steal and the finish. 11 points for the 6'2" junior from St. Petersburg, Russia, who really enjoyed it on Wednesday when she had an opportunity to play against her girlhood friend, excuse me.
I was wondering where you're going with that one.
Dasha Kudyetsova, junior, West Virginia. And there's Svetlana with another steal. And Tony with a wise play to reach out and commit the foul rather than give away the easy layup. But Abrosimova and Kudyetsova were teammates for 10 years in high school in St. Petersburg and then on the Russian junior national team.
Well, Tony cannot commit herself so far and turn that corner, go that far down towards the hoop, and then expect to bounce past that by Abrosimova. You've got to get by the defender with your body and make that pass. Abrosimova and the rest of the Huskies, they're too good defensively to let you do that.
This win tonight for UConn will up their record in Big East play to 109-4 in the last 6.5 seasons. That'll get your attention, huh?
Timeout on the floor.
Timeout, 7:57 to go in this one. And UConn with a 69-27 lead over the Panthers. We've mentioned several times tonight. Next up for the Huskies will be Rutgers, and that will be coming up on Monday afternoon at 3 at the Hartford Civic Center. The Scarlet Knights tonight find themselves in trouble playing at home against Villanova, losing 56-53 with a minute to go. Earlier in the day, in the Big East. Boston College defeated Providence 72-52, and Miami was a 64-60 winner over Seton Hall. That makes what, 10 in a row for Kathy Inglese's Boston College Eagles?
You betcha.
Sue Bird buries the three. Her third three of the night, accounting for all 9 of her points. Right sideline, it's Dallas Williams, gives to Lainey Selwyn. Cross court, Brooke Stewart misses the three. Long rebound to Selwyn, and a reach-in foul on Bird, her fourth. You know, there was obviously a lot of positive attention headed Sue Bird's way after her spectacular performance against Tennessee, and some had suggested that she was this gritty point guard from New York, and Mr. Auriemma's response was, oh yeah, she's from those tough streets of Syosset. The last thing that was stolen there was somebody's newspaper from a rooftop.
Gee, so shocking that he would use sarcasm.
Well, normally you think of, you know, point guards from New York, you know, being street tough and heady and whatnot. And Sue is that. You could be tough from Syosset, right?
Absolutely. She's tough. She has, and he even said this in the paper, she has a lot of the same qualities as Svetlana Abrosimova and Shea Ralph, but she just doesn't show them the same way. She's more quiet, doesn't necessarily say a whole lot. But I tell you what, she's a winner. What is it, 57, 58 straight games she's won?
Well, if the Hansmeyer buries the three, if the Huskies can hang on to this 46-point lead, it will be 59 consecutive wins for Sue Bird when she's in the lineup. The last 10 of her junior year at Christ the King High School, culminating in a state title. Cash and Johnson combined for the steal, and they combined to travel. And then a perfect 27-0 senior year and another state championship at Christ the King. As we get another look.
You got to be careful with these passes against a team as athletic as UConn. But you got to remember what color you're wearing. And if you're wearing a white jersey and someone else is wearing a white jersey, they're on the same team. And when you both hold the ball, whether or not you travel, the refs always call a walk.
Marcy Zell in the lineup for the Huskies, the 5'7" junior from Guilford, Connecticut. If she scores, this place will go up. Jumper no good. Schumacher clears the glass. Outlet to Kenitra Johnson.
That's a nice rebound by Schumacher.
Now Sauer missed the shot. Johnson threw the pass, and Sauer wasn't looking, and then she turned her head just as the ball was coming and made a pretty good catch.
Credit some nice peripheral vision and good reflexes. Nice bounce pass.
Pittsburgh foul number 42, Lainey Selwyn.
Just too flat with that shot.
Foul 7th on the team. Paige Sauer will shoot
That's
two.
the difference between the women's game and the men's game. In the men's game, that ball gets flushed.
Entering the lineup for Pittsburgh, number 33, LaTanya Lawrence.
Checking into the lineup for the Panthers, LaTanya Lawrence, 5'10" senior from Lithonia, Georgia. The young lady sang the national anthem at her high school commencement. Bet you that never happened to you, huh?
I can't even sing in the shower.
Selwyn on the right gets the high screen by Robin Swain, a 6'4" freshman from Xenia, Ohio. So Tracy Waits is emptying her bench. Pass by Lawrence, deflected out of bounds by Sauer. 4 seconds to shoot for the Panthers.
That shows you the class of Tracy Waits. See, a lot of other coaches and I know in this conference don't do it. Gino has conceded. He put in some of his bench players. Now, if she could be like some other coaches in this league and keep her starters in there to try to eclipse some of this lead and make the game not look as bad. But she understands and she gets it. So he conceded, so she's going to concede. That's an unwritten rule in coaching. And I respect her even more now that she's done that.
Waits was a 2-time All-Big West Conference selection at Long Beach State. She played her first 2 years of college ball at Georgia and the last 2 at Long Beach. Selwyn walks it across for the Panthers. Nice catch by Kitkowski to avoid the turnover in the corner as we approach the 5-minute mark. Autumn Alexander wants to go on Schumacher and will draw the foul.
A tough move, an aggressive move by Alexander getting to the hoop. And I know what the Connecticut coaching staff, I'm sure, is thinking over there, that, you know what, Kelly Schumacher, that's not good enough. You've got to move your feet and keep your guy in front of you. Don't let her get by and try to block it. And that's what can be dangerous, is being known as a shot blocker. You can sometimes get a little lazy and let your player get around you to try to swat it away. And that's not good defense.
Hansmeyer checks in, replacing Swin Cash for the Huskies. Cash leaves with 7 points and 4 rebounds. Autumn Alexander lived for 8 years on an Indian reservation. She comes from Bedford, Indiana. First year in the Pittsburgh program after a couple of years at Olney Central College. Sowers' pass is stolen by Kitkowski. Far sideline, wild shot by Lawrence, who's called for traveling before she released it.
And there is still a lot of time left in this game. 4:45.
Johnson across the timeline. 2-3 zone. Hansmeyer for 3. Sauer tries to run down the rebound but can't catch up. So the numbers game continues for the Huskies. This will be their 62nd straight home win against a Big East team. There's the turnover story. Wow, 34 turnovers. UConn's 15th straight win at Gamble will now be 109-4 in the Big East in the last 6+ years. 106-2 at Gamble here in the last 6+ years. And it'll be a 14-0 start as Schumacher rejects that one out of bounds. And no, she didn't do it without opening her mouth. Proving my theory. See? Look at the mouth. See what I mean? What did I tell you? She gets a rest, replaced by Christine Big Rig Rigby, who's 12 of 16 from the floor this year.
You know, if Rig can get herself into shape, and trust me, 4 minutes is a long time to play.
Now,
but when Rig gets the ball down in the low post, oh, they're going to call a foul?
The foul evidently coming before the shot clock violation, so says Benita Spence. And at the free throw line will go Lainey Selwyn. Now here's a young woman who loves Broadway shows, we're told. She's from Carl Springs, Florida, and she's already seen 9 Broadway shows. So she goes to school in Pittsburgh. She lives in Florida. That's pretty good, seeing 9 Broadway. I mean, you got to work hard at that.
You got to find a way to get there, too. Very impressive.
I'm wondering whether it was just like one visit to the city and she just kept going to matinee, evening show. I mean, you don't commute from Pittsburgh to Broadway and back for a show, do you? Maybe she does.
I wouldn't think so, but anything is possible these days.
Sauer, long three. She somehow manages to make it without smiling. That was her second three-pointer of the year in 6 attempts. They're headed into overtime down at the rack. Rutgers and Villanova all even at 60 in Piscataway, New Jersey. And Zell will be called for the reach-in foul on Lawrence.
And that Rutgers-Villanova game could be an example of Rutgers looking past the Wildcats, knowing that the Huskies are their next opponent on Monday. But Villanova can play a very frustrating brand of ball, slowing things down, making 10 passes, setting 8 screens. They just, and the way Villanova plays, you know, they'll get a shot clock violation. They don't care.
And our viewers will get a chance to witness that themselves a week from today. The Huskies will play Villanova at the Pavilion. You'll see it here on Connecticut Public Television. Kenitra Johnson buries the three for her 15th point of the night.
She's got a smooth stroke. Kenitra Johnson. She will be spoken of quite a bit over the next 3+ years.
Preseason selection as the Big East Rookie of the Year, an honor which Tamika Williams won last year. Rigby with the rebound. Johnson up the floor. Sauer down low to Rigby. Head fake and a trap.
You know, Stacey Hansmeyer had cut and looked pretty open. There was no way Rigby was giving up that ball, honey. She wanted to put that in.
And we have our final official timeout of the evening with 2:43 to go, and UConn up. Huskies and Mom, what a team. Well, you can't argue with that logic. UConn leading it by 51.
See the American Experiences Rescue at Sea, Monday night at 9 on CPTV.
2:30 to go in the ball game. LaTanya Lawrence. Right side Lainey Selwyn. Down low to Swain. Cross court, and the jumper in the lane by Autumn Alexander.
That was a nice find by Selwyn to pop that ball there into the middle of the defense.
Cross court pass, nobody home. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was a good call there by Benita Spence. It was tipped. I did see the ball get tipped by a blue jersey. It was actually a hand, but it was they were wearing a blue jersey. The blue jersey itself did not knock that ball down.
Hansmeyer finds Johnson, baseline. Another deflection by someone in blue. Here's Johnson for three. 18 points for Johnson.
Bob, the reason that Johnson, I think, this is how things kind of work themselves out. Kenitra tried to get that ball to Marcy Zell to get Zell a shot. And that's ultimately why she got the wide open three.
Ball knocked out of bounds. It will belong to the Huskies with 1:42 remaining.
I'm a firm believer that if you play and act unselfishly, things will come back to you tenfold. And that was a prime example of that last offensive possession for the Huskies with Kenitra Johnson.
Johnson 7 of 9 from the floor tonight, 4 of 6 from three-point range for 18 points, equaling her career high. Sauer turnaround. Rebound to Kitkowski. And speaking of Michelle Kitkowski, Megan, what's the most interesting summer job you ever had?
Probably actually I picked strawberries in a field. That was not interesting. That was just the most bizarre thing I've done.
Well, Michelle Kitkowski, I think, has us both beat, because she once during the summer worked as a whitewater rafting lifeguard.
That would be a very cool job.
Well, chances are, you might see some action there too.
What kind of action would you be speaking of?
Well, like you might have to dive into the water and help someone who might need assistance. You ever gone whitewater rafting?
I never have. I'm a dork. I don't do any crazy fun stuff like that.
I actually did one.
Have you? And?
Well, they rate the rivers and, degree of, I guess you would call, difficulty or danger. This was not a dangerous river. I got wet, though.
Did you? Did you stay in the raft?
Yes, I stayed in. It would have been hard to not stay in. I'll say that. I sat in the middle because I had the VHS camera on the shoulder to try to keep it dry. Or at least that's what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't even actually take any pictures, but I just said, well, I have to sit in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, whatever you say, Bob.
Selwyn gives to Lawrence, as this one mercifully is almost over. But not before UConn picks up one more steal, and the Panthers commit one more foul. Unofficially, that's steal number 21 for the Huskies. As we look at the Big East standings, now that's pending the outcome of the Rutgers-Villanova game. We don't have a final on that yet, do we?
I don't believe we have a final yet.
The Huskies with the win tonight will be 4-0. Notre Dame is 4-0. Hansmeyer with the miss. So this is Selwyn, shot clock off. Nice spin move in the lane by Robin Swain as she gets her name entered into the books. In the lane to Rigby. She turns, puts it up, got it.
Rig has a way of getting the ball in the basket and getting her teammates up off the bench at the end of regulation.
So UConn wins it by a score of 88-36. The Huskies now 14-0, 4-0 in the Big East. Next up, Rutgers Monday in Hartford. For Megan Pattison, I'm Bob Picozzi. Thank you so much for joining us. The preceding has been a production of Connecticut Public.
I've ever met.
I just hate to lose. I hate to lose anything. I can't lose anything, like cards, any kind of game. That the reason I played Jeopardy all last night, because I hate to lose. I need to win all the time. So I'm going to do something until I win. And if I lose right away, I'm ready to go again. Like but it's a part of me that I love, and I think it's a part of me that's made me a good basketball player, because I'm not athletic, I'm not fast. I'm a basketball player. I'm not an athlete. That's what I keep telling people. And my motivation to become better has me out on the floor sometimes shooting, at odd hours or in between classes, or, it has me talking to some of my teammates to try to get them to be better in any way that I can find, because I want to be better. And to make me better, I need them to be better too. So any way that I can find to win, I'm going to find it.
How good can this team be? I mean, right now, undefeated with a win at Tennessee, the comparisons are already starting to the undefeated team. Can this team achieve something that great?
I think so. I have very high expectations for my team and for my teammates. And, one of the reporters just asked me a minute ago, does it surprise you that you're 13-0? It doesn't surprise me. I don't get surprised by this team. I expect it, because we're very good. And I think we've proven ourselves up to this point to be a pretty good team. And the comparison is an honor to the 95 team, but obviously we're different.
Your favorite athlete is the 49ers' Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Why Jerry Rice?
I think the first part is pretty obvious. His knees, he came back pretty fast from an injury, got hurt again, came back again. And I've read a lot about him. I've read a lot about his work ethic and the things that he does to make himself better. And to me, that's motivation, and that's really, it defines desire. And he's been in the league so long, yet he still stays at the top, somehow. And people try to work out with him, his teammates, people from other teams, and nobody can ever hang in with him, not for one workout. So I think that, to me, he defines wanting to get better. He defines the desire to play the game and the love of the game so much that you sacrifice anything, including yourself, to be good.
Things came pretty easily for you in high school. You're the National Player of the Year. You averaged 33 a game, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. You had a 4.2 grade point average. Everything was rosy, and then you come to UConn and you have the adversity. In a strange kind of way, are you almost glad that it happened because it's maybe made you a stronger person?
Absolutely. I think, I was young and everything came to me very easily. Basketball did, school did. Everything about my life was easy for me. And now I came here, and I think in order for me to learn things about life and to learn how to become a better person, I needed things to happen to me to cause me to be challenged in ways with basketball, in ways without basketball, in life in general. And that's happened in pretty much every way that you can, figure out that it's happened. But some way, I found a way to come back and to make myself better. I'm not the same person, I'm not the same player, but I think in this instance, it's been better for our team, and it's definitely been better for me. I've never enjoyed basketball or, life as much as I am right now.